All right, are you ready? Are we introing with this again?
Well, did you share the doc with them?
Yeah.
Whoa. All right, guys. Episode 2. My name is Max.
And I'm Kruti. Welcome back to the Trojan Investing Playbook. First off, we want to start off by saying thank you so much to everyone who applied to all of our programs across Leaders, General, and Capstone. We saw amazing applications, and we are so happy to see so much interest in wanting to be a part of the Trojan Investing Society community. And we are looking forward to seeing everyone's participation throughout the year. Shout out, we have our Taco Social on Tuesday, so please show up to that and get some delicious city tacos. Also, if you've gotten notification of payment of dues and acceptance, you can go to our website and pay your dues through there. And who are we joined with today, Max?
We are joined by our co-presidents, Emma and Quincy. Could you guys kind of introduce yourself? Who are you guys?
Do you want to go first?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Emma. I'm one of the co-presidents of TIS. Excited to be on this podcast. Any other information?
No, I think it's fine.
Nothing for now.
Okay. I'm Quincy Plotz. I'm also one of the other co-presidents. And yeah, excited to be on this initiative that was planned a little earlier than summer.
Awesome. Can you guys start off by telling us a little bit about your journey in TIS, your experience within the programs, and how you got to being presidents?
Yeah. So I think Quincy and I had pretty similar sort of timeline journeys. We both joined on the board as VPs. So I was VP of operations. This was back in freshman year, so in like November, so pretty early on. Went through the whole e-board application process. That was really fun and awesome and met a lot of great people that way. The previous board was really great. Shout out to them. And then went through, did the whole VP of operations, did everything that job entailed. So I used to actually send the newsletter. Now it's just like my name is on there. But then when next November rolled around, so about like a year-ish ago, we ended up going through and getting like presidency selected, so the next e-board selected, and got to be a co-president that way. And I've been serving since like end of November of my sophomore year, so nearing a year.
Yeah, I mean, pretty similar experience. Joined freshman year. Was in the Capstone program fall semester with Kruti and Emma. Max, were you in that?
No. Okay. Freshman, spring I was.
Okay. He wasn't as fast as us, but
Wow,
Yeah,
okay.
not dialed.
did the Capstone program, would go to a few of the general boot camps, a lot of the events. And then, applied for eBoard spring semester freshman year, got on board as VP of Marketing and Tech, and just within that role really tried to, I would say I tried to go above and beyond and just like try to do some outside events too. And honestly, like collaborate with Emma as well when it kind of came down to sophomore year, and we maybe kind of saw a future with the board, really trying to think of ways to engage our juniors and seniors and just engage other people in the org. November sophomore year was presidency. Joined since then, and happy to continue.
Quick question. So for like listeners that are maybe like freshmen or sophomores that want to be on board going forward, like what's your recommendation towards them? Like when might interviews happen, if we kind of have a clue, and like what does the board try to look for?
Yeah. I can handle that one, I guess. I don't know, like obviously Emma and I mentioned we joined our freshman spring. However, with some recent changes that recruitment timeline has been moved to the spring of sophomore year. So for VP positions, it'll be open to the sophomores and juniors applying that year. And for like the more chief positions and senior positions, it would be the juniors and seniors. So I think honestly, the biggest piece of advice is like, just take the time to like focus on your own career and your own things first. Especially like that's part of why this change has happened. It's because recruiting timelines have moved so much earlier. You kind of need that later eBoard recruitment period. So like take the time to focus on yourself, focus on your career. And then from there, like if you want the opportunity to give back to TIS, if you really want to focus on improving TIS and you see places where that improvement can be made, like that's, I think, really what we're looking for, just people who like want to make those institutional changes and make TIS last another, 27 years?
Yeah, and I'd add on to that, I think like both our motivations really came from the fact that the TIS e-board, I guess when I was a freshman, so 2 cycles ago, were really, really helpful in like my whole recruiting process. Even as a freshman, like understanding what banking was, what the recruiting process looked like, because it's very novel and new if you have like no idea what's going on, which was my case like freshman year. They were all like very easy to reach out to, and even after they had like stepped off board and were like juniors and seniors, still were able to reach out to them. And I think it really was like a big factor in like my career and journey. And I think that was like part of the reason that I was like, oh, I want to serve on board and really give back to TIS, because I think USC is really building out a future in finance, recruiting, et cetera. And TIS is kind of really the stepping stone for that. I also forgot to mention, but we were both in leaders as well for the 2 semesters, and then TFA as well. First cohort of TFA.
Yeah, first cohort.
Go ahead.
I was going to say a follow-up question I have is, what's your biggest takeaway from being a part of TIS? What's something that's been really invaluable that you've gained out of your experience being in the organization?
Honestly, I'd sort of echo what I just said. Like, you truly realize how strong the Trojan network is, not only like within TIS itself, but I think beyond. I think we should all like be very, very grateful. Like, other schools are not as privileged in that I don't think we're not like a super, super target school. Like, we're not an Ivy. Like, there's no
You can't
doubt
beat the
about
Trojan
that.
Target on
network.
West Coast. I'd
Yeah,
say.
sure. Target on West Coast. But even like recruiting on the East Coast is like, people will respond to you. And I know that's like not the, like some of my friends who were at other schools like really had to cold email people from like outside of USC, all of that. Whereas I feel like I just was able to find people within USC, even though it's like kind of less of a presence on the East Coast.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I think like the more you recruit within banking and finance in general, you'll just really realize that finance itself is just such an alumni related network. And it's really built on the foundations of like giving back. Like, you received so much mentorship when you were going through the process, and it's really just natural to give that back to the people who are then going through it again. So I think like as much that can be said about the finance community, that's one where it does become really tight knit and just like focused on those tenants.
And we don't get paid for this or anything like that. It's all based off
Not
like
sponsored.
wanting to give back and, you know, spending time and like investing in kind of like the next generation of finance professionals that come out of USC. But kind of transitioning more to like recruiting journey, could you kind of talk about that? You know, where are you guys going? How did it play out? And like, why did you choose to go down that path?
Yeah. I would say I had a pretty unique target for recruiting. I think everyone should go into it open-minded and just ready to apply everywhere, and just like put in as much effort as they can. But I, submitted all the applications, but I really targeted my recruiting towards media, entertainment, banks and firms. Primarily in New York. I did a couple firms in LA as well, just to stay in the home city. But I targeted mainly, the firm I'm going to be going to is LionTree in New York, which primarily focuses on sports media and entertainment, some technology in there as well.
Just did a huge deal too.
Just did a huge deal, yes.
What deal?
The Ashton Kutcher one.
Yeah.
What is that?
Like he has a
Soho
film
House
production, yeah.
You know Soho House?
Oh, I've heard of it. I don't know what it is though. I'm not gonna lie.
Huge deal with that. But like, I knew that if I was going to be working the 80-hour weeks, I like want to do something I'm passionate about. And like, I'm not an industrials person. If you are an industrials person, like no shade, but I'm not going to be able to spend 40 hours of my 80-hour week working on industrial steel. Like, I want to do something music related or something like entertainment related. And another thing that I kind of recruited for was merchant banking. So LionTree has both a investment banking side and also an like asset management side. And that was kind of a place that like made me feel like there could be some potential growth opportunities as well in the future.
Wait, just to keep following up on that, like what are some firms that focus on like sports media and entertainment? Like what does that landscape kind of look like?
So there's obviously not a lot. I think you'll see a lot of like the TMT kind of regions within like the bulge brackets and stuff. I think the biggest names that I can think of that really primarily focus on media entertainment, obviously like Moelis LA is pretty well known for that. In New York, I'd say Rain, LionTree, Allen & Co. BDT and MSD also does some stuff within that area, but they're more so focused on merchant banking, and that's also more like Chicago-led versus New York-led. But yeah, primarily Rain, LionTree, Allen & Co., Moelis. I feel like I'm forgetting one.
Yeah,
but
how does the recruitment process maybe differ, like in terms of like trends, resources, like
Prep.
how does the prep differ versus other kind of industries?
I mean, honestly, the prep is pretty similar. Like, I think, especially within the music industry and like film as well, you're going to get asked a lot of valuation questions. Like, you should know some multiples within that industry, but also like these are kind of like trophy assets, especially with sports teams as well, which if you're more interested in sports, like I think Moelis does a lot with the sports teams. But those deals that you're kind of like, there's no way to value that, you know, it's just all about kind of public opinion and how much someone's going to pay. So it's obviously going to be like more precedent transactions than it would be a DCF. Music's really cool because then it's more like you can actually do a DCF. It's like if it's an old catalog, and like Taylor Swift's catalogs are really interesting because it's basically like a step function of value where every time she releases a new album, every time she does a tour, probably when she got engaged too, like it just like the value keeps increasing. So it's like, I think the difference between recruiting maybe that versus like TMT specific or healthcare specific, it's like just knowing kind of the trends are really important. Like you obviously like just saying like, oh, like Spotify is taking all this money and et cetera, but it's more like, okay, why does Spotify take that money? Like where is the publishing? Like where within the actual like music space and how it gets from the creator to the consumer, how is that like an issue?
And maybe like why they're beating, I'm assuming they're beating out like Apple Music, like SoundCloud.
Spotify is actually very unprofitable.
Oh, they're unprofitable. But
like
in terms
terrible.
of market share, where do they stand?
I actually don't know market share wise.
Okay.
I think more so my experience within recruiting for that industry, like they want to know that you can think outside the, like anyone can Google market share of Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
Like less people can understand the industry to a certain extent where like they see the value chain of like it goes to the artist and then the artist has to hire like a record, has to like maybe go through a record label, a publisher, or all these kind of outside areas that then like the label's going to take 70-something%. And the artist, like after all the other kind of share, only really gets like a minor percentage.
And I
Nice.
think a big thing for this is like when you're recruiting these niche spaces that a lot of people don't know about, talking to people who recruited that must help a lot because you can't find this when you Google it or go on to Wall Street Prep.
Yeah, I think like talking to people, I think one of the biggest things that also helped me was talking to people in corp dev. Like they were the ones actually like I talked to a few people from like Paramount and that was like right in the middle of everything. And like from some other companies too. And it's like those I think are the hot spots like in the gold mines for like getting the trends.
Yeah. That's a great point. I feel like even if you're recruiting like tech or healthcare and there's a massive deal that happens, let's say like Meta acquired Scale AI, like you could go talk to someone at Meta's corp dev team and like really ask him or her like, hey, like why is this happening? Like have these like conversations. And I feel like your understanding just goes through the roof rather than like spending a few hours online trying to find the reasons where like not everything's like really published all the time. And last follow-up question, Quincy, is like, do you need a background in sports media and entertainment to recruit SME?
Like, I personally don't think so. I think if you have a genuine interest, like, you don't necessarily have to be an artist or like an athlete. I think there are a lot of student athletes that do end up kind of going into those specific banks just because, like, those are the ones who kind of know all about, like, all the NOL deals that are happening and kind of the valuations with that and how that's impacting the industry as well. I, like, didn't like know all about music publishing. I played some instruments in high school, knew I had this interest in music and concerts, and like I go to a ton. And I came to USC and I primarily focused on finance, later kind of added on that music industry minor, but most of my in-depth knowledge of the industry either came from like valuation internship where I had the chance to look at a couple publishing catalog like examples and just research during recruiting.
Nice.
Awesome. Emma, what about your experience? I know it was a little bit different as well.
Yeah. I always like preface coffee chats with, I feel like I had a pretty unique experience. So mine started summer after freshman year. So back then, Bank of America had their sophomore summer program. Unfortunately, now they have cut it because nobody was going back. But anyways, they opened that in the summer. So applied for that, did some networking for that. Was able to get the role. So this past summer, I was at Bank of America, New York in the real estate, gaming, and lodging group doing banking. But a little before that, my whole recruiting process, my whole mindset was like, okay, one, let me just see if, if I can get something better, basically, which is a bad way to put it. But I just wanted to see what was out there. And also, I think my experience was unique because I was really interested in buy side. And I think I've always known that I probably will not be or would not be a career banker, and wanted to pursue a career in investing long term. So I decided to recruit both banking and buy side, which I know a couple other people in like TFA and leaders did as well. Very, very doable. Same like sort of technicals, just a couple of different things.
A little harder.
Yeah. Not that harder.
It's definitely a little hard.
But essentially I recruited like I want to say like 6 or 7 banks, was looking at elite boutiques primarily, and then a couple of buy side firms. I think I ended up just doing like 3 processes in the end. Okay.
What?
6, 7. Okay, we gotta cut that out. Anyways,
leave it
no,
in,
this
leave it
is
in, leave it
raw.
in.
Quincy's a little behind.
Yeah.
on
What's
this one.
6-7?
It's ball knowledge.
It's what?
it's
Ball,
like,
it's ball knowledge.
I don't even know what it is.
Anyways, Emma, we were at recruiting
Yeah.
6-7 elite boutiques.
Yeah, it's like 7. Okay. Anyways,
It's like, it's that?
yeah.
Guys, I'm not on
Oh my
TikTok.
God.
Sorry.
Oh, that's good though. Okay. Anyways, so I went through a couple banking recruiting processes as well as buy side recruiting processes. Ended up getting offers from both sides, and I ended up going with Bain Capital on the buy side. So that'll be this upcoming summer. So very excited for that.
What group?
In credit. So they do their program as rotational between liquid and private credit. They used to do rotational across, I think, like special sits too, but then that's
Okay.
separate now, unfortunately. So, but anyways, yeah. So I think I spend like half the summer in one, half the summer in the other, and then they like place you at the end if you get a return.
Go ahead, Max.
So for people that want to do like maybe LevFin or restructuring or like credit kind of in that sphere, like what should they look at in terms of recruiting? Like how does that maybe differ? What should they study differently?
Yeah, I think just broadly speaking for like buy side in general, there's much bigger focus on like your knowledge of the markets, what makes a good investment, as well as like being able to just think about like certain companies' business models. Like they'll usually like ask you like, oh, walk me through like how this company makes money. It's a little bit more like, I would say thinking focused rather than like, I think banking can sometimes be very like technicals, memorization, like there's stuff you have to problem solve through. But like with investing, and for example, Bain Capital for the Super Day, it's literally just 3 straight investing cases, and they'll like throw in like LBO math and there and whatever.
Just for fun.
Yeah, just for fun. But really it's like, would you make this investment? And you have to walk through them and at the end tell them. It's a little bit like casing interviews, honestly. Like it was kind of interesting. So yeah, I would say in terms of like credit specifically, so Bain Capital Credit was the only like credit group I actually ended up like interviewing for. And I would say, I would preface with that, I think like a big reason people do banking is for like the optionality. And I think with credit, there is the caveat that like you limit your optionality just a little bit because you're focused on like the debt side. But I think Bain Capital in particular does invest across the credit capital structure. So it's a little bit more optionality. So those are like other things to think about when you think about like recruiting for the buy side, because I think you have to be a little bit more like sure and confident about what you want to do long term. Rather with banking, it's like gives you much more optionality, which is very valuable, like coming as a 22-year-old out of college.
For the listeners, what firms like buy side firms offer these like summer analyst programs?
So usually it's all the mega funds, Blackstone, KKR, Bain Capital,
Vista.
Ares.
I can't think of any other. Are there any other?
Insight Partners
know.
is like growth equity VC. I know they take summer analysts.
But one thing I would add to that is like, I think like going straight to the buy side, like there's like benefits, but it's also again, like you have to, there's more caveats to it, in that like the reason people will do banking programs themselves as well is because they have really strong training programs. Like these programs have been built out since like pre-2000, 1990s. Like,
I mean, think of Lazard.
yeah, like my MDs were working through like financial crisis, Caesar's restructuring, whatever. And the analyst programs have been built out. They know how to train you. And then PE firms will, or buy-side firms will recruit out because they know you're well-trained. They know you can follow directions, whatever. Some mega funds will have really good training programs that have been built out. So like Blackstone's is very built out, for example. But some like maybe smaller ones will have less built out. So that's another thing to think about. Like a lot of the programs like are very sink or swim. Like they'll take 3 analysts and cut like 2 of them.
Dang.
and you're
Wow.
just expected to like learn on your own. I think like D. Shaw is like that,
Mm.
and like even Blackstone itself is like their return rate is very low, and like people consider that when they're making decisions too.
Mhm.
So how's Bain Capital's return rate? Do you know?
I was told it ranges from 50 to 100%.
Okay, that's
That's
good.
a big range.
And what about Lion Tree, Quincy?
They, like, when I asked the connection I had there, he was like, basically everyone gets it if they tried. Or if, like, we deemed them.
They always say that.
Like,
But
they
that's like true for
were
boutiques
wanting
generally.
to do it. Yeah. I also think, like, Lion Tree, their analyst program, like, I don't know how many people are in my class. Like, so far I'm like 6 people, maybe less.
Right.
Last year it was 8. 4 years ago it was like 12 and 16. So,
Right. It depends.
yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
About BOFA, what group were you in BOFA?
I was in Regal, so real estate, gaming, and lodging.
And for anyone that wants to recruit that, I know we interviewed a leaders kid, I believe, that wanted to do
Yes.
Regal.
Yeah.
For that kid out there, like resources, what do you kind of have to need to study? How is it different? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so New York is a little different because, and this applies to I think all New York firms, but you recruit generalist. So for B of A, you just like do generalist. Your interviewers will be from various groups. And then you'll go through this thing called group placement where for B of A, the process is like essentially you just coffee chat a bunch of people in different groups that you want. They'll like rank you on their internal thing and then you end up ranking them and then it's like HR matches you up and then you interview with 3 groups and then you're guaranteed like one of the groups essentially. So I ended up interviewing with Regal sponsors and then TMT. My rationale, and I was always like interested in real estate. So I was like, this is great. But I honestly just wanted to be in like a good group with good deal flow so I could get good experience. And like, also it's good to have on your resume to go into junior summer recruiting and B of A, like the top groups are like M&A, sponsors, and Regal. So I was like, I'm going to gun for one of those. Regal specifically, I think like going through group placement, they just really want to see that you have an interest in real estate. So just like knowing about real estate is important.
What are
It's
some like terms and concepts in real estate?
Cap rates, NOI. You should just know what's going on in markets, Sunbelt, just general trends. Like you don't have to know everything. And again, like they teach you everything on the job. We had like real estate specific training, but like during the interview, like they asked me like, oh, what is cap rate? Like how do interest rates affect real estate? Kind of basic stuff like that. But I think at the end of the day, they just want to see that you're interested in real estate. You have a story. And like in the summer, the MDs, I think, would also like really like it if you had like a story of like why you want to do real estate banking. Because I think it is like a niche. Like all the valuation methods are different. You value on different bases. So like it's not super applicable to like corporate PE necessarily. Like most people will exit to like real estate private equity as well. Sorry.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your experience at BOFA, like the work you were actually doing, how your summer was like?
Yeah, so I will say that I was a sophomore, so I think I was given less like not less important work, but certainly less work. It was really fun, I would say. So all the 5 sophomores sat in a bullpen, and it was really great because all the juniors were like had to sit next to analysts, some, but we were all together, and we were like in the corner, so we could like do nothing. But no, I'm just kidding. But I really liked my class. The work I was doing, so I would say. It's funny because, well, this is public knowledge, but if it's not, then scratch this. But I think it is. But there's a REIT called Paramount that's doing a sell side right now. So every time someone talks about the Paramount deal, I think about the REIT, but no one's talking about the REIT. But anyways, that was like going on. One of the analysts I got close with was working on that deal, so it was cool. I didn't like work on it because the MD like didn't want any analysts or summer analysts on
Didn't
it.
trust
He didn't
them.
trust
Yeah.
them.
Edna.
Yeah, fresh hands.
But I like sat behind her and watched her do work, which was fun. And then in terms of my work, a lot on Excel, PowerPoint, building like benchmarking graphs. Not the most exciting things, but like necessary things, I think, is what you spend your summer doing. We call them wiggles, but they're like working group lists. And essentially it's like when you just consolidate everybody working on the deal into like one page, and you have like some of them have like 20 million banks or whatever for like financing or whatever. And then you just have to like check to make sure their names are spelled right. It's really fun. And yeah, and then we had a summer project too. It was a group project, which was nice. But it was just like you had to do everything that would be a part of a sell side. So we were just like pitching, selling one REIT to another REIT. So that was good because I was able to get kind of more hands-on relevant experience to that. But it is funny because like realistically, like you won't do any of that work until you're like a VP maybe. So
Can you tell us your favorite part about being in New York City this summer?
yeah, I would say, okay, so I'm from Massachusetts. And I think because of that, like at USC, there's like, I think my year, no one from my high school. And I want to say like, just like not that many people come here in California in general. But then in New York, I had a lot of friends from home that were there, as well as like friends from USC that were there. So it was really fun just to have that overlap. I think that was the best thing.
That's good. What about training week? Did you guys have training week the first week?
Yeah, so we have firm-wide training week the first week, and they will fly everyone from all the different locations. So LA, SF, to like ex-TFA people were there. Shout out Jacob and Brandon. So it's great. So there were USC people there then. And then that is honestly like mostly HR run and all of that. And you have to just sit through it. And like, it was funny because there was this like one presenter that was just like, I don't know, she just talked for like 30 minutes about how her husband was a Trump supporter, but like she still loved him or something. Okay. I don't know if we can include this, but anyways, point being is like, it's just a lot of fluff thrown at you. And then after that, we get to the desk, but we had another week of like real estate specific training.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
Nice. We want to touch on the private investing day. I know there was an announcement or like an email sent out, right? Apps are live, right?
Apps are live. I think this is coming out Monday, so they'll be due tomorrow night at like 11:59 p.m.
Okay, cool. Quincy, do you want to kind of give I spoke about it a little bit last episode, wasn't like fully educated on it. Do you want to kind of give a quick rundown of what it's going to look like, who's invited or like how the application process and the selection process might look like?
Yeah, sure. Well, so far, like this seems like a really interesting event that like we've got going, and we did it before in 2023. An old president, Sean Kapoor, and
Shout out Sean,
and then an old DOL, I'm forgetting her last name, but Ruisha.
Yeah.
They both kind of planned this and like had this event in 2023, and it was an amazing success, but kind of just got lost in the rut of things with the next year. So we're bringing it back, and it's really primarily focused on our juniors and seniors within TIS. So now that mentorship is kind of under TFA, having that opportunity for more people to kind of be engaged with TIS and do kind of more events, panels, and different things on the buy side with TIS. And so what this investing day is going to look like, it's a trek to San Francisco. There's, I think, about 30 spots. And so applications are, there's a certain criteria that some of the banks the private equity firms, they kind of request from us as we're making decisions. And so that criteria is kind of what's going to happen. So it could be like maybe they want 50% juniors, 50% seniors. Maybe they want all seniors. Maybe they want like a mix of like certain industry groups. Maybe they only want certain industry groups. Maybe they want like a specific mix of like actual like diversity demographics, stuff like that.
GPA
and so,
maybe? Or?
GPA as well,
Okay.
yeah. So kind of stuff like that. That's more like about what the banks are kind of looking for. But the day itself is like pretty fun. It kind of starts around noon. So people kind of fly out themselves and do whatever they want, lodge wherever they want for housing. Welcome remarks, and then just a bunch of these really interesting panels with industry leaders in San Francisco, from San Francisco, but also like people who maybe are in San Francisco for the day or like different things. Like they could, I think in 2023 we did it. We had a couple speakers from like New York who came. So like different, just these really cool panels, like early stage growth investing, like navigating a career in VC, how to recruit for VC maybe as a senior, or like if that's what you want to do post grad. But just these really interesting panels with networking kind of built inside of it.
And you have to be a TIS member.
You have to be a
paying
TIS member
dues.
to apply, yes.
Okay.
So, like, again, just to emphasize the point, if they apply, what else do they have to do?
So to apply for the program, you must be a paying dues member of TIS. And so that means paying the dues, but it also means submitting the membership confirmation. So we can actually recognize you as a member. That's all on the website. It's on the dues page of the website. It's bolded. It's linked there. Please access it there. You have to submit that, and then you also have to submit this application. It's a pretty simple application. It's like just demographic information, and then like why are you interested in investing? Like what do you want to get out from this day? Stuff like that. And yeah, like it's pretty simple. Mainly looking at just like what you can get out of this day, what you want from this day, as well as maybe what you can provide for this day. But, yeah,
nice. And then
Awesome.
what about like the other cities? I know I was talking to your mom yesterday about like LA, New York. Do you want to share a little bit about that? Like, is it in the plans for this year? If it was to happen, when might it happen? Like, what kind of firms would we try to invite to this event?
Yeah, so New York probably not. I think just staying with the West Coast for this initiative at this moment. Obviously, like having different even Zoom sessions with New York. Like I think we're in the works with a pretty big buy-side firm in New York to maybe get something going there on a Zoom session for those seniors. Main track right now is that SF track, but we're also planning, we have tentative dates with Leonard Green and Oaktree right now for in-person visits at their office, as well as reaching out to a couple different headhunters like to come on campus and kind of like give a little briefing of what to expect for on-cycle and off-cycle recruiting. And honestly, just like really trying to engage a lot of our members with like these different firms. Like we did a Graycroft visit last year, which is a VC firm in LA, and that was super successful. So just trying to capitalize that and do that like repeatedly, maybe like at least 3 times this semester.
Nice. Okay. Anything we want to talk about for private investing?
I think that's
Do we have
pretty
a
much it.
firms list for SF? Or?
Not yet, not
Okay.
firms list yet. Can't release that just yet. That will probably be released soon, but all I can say is like from the names that we've gotten so far, like I think Iconic is one of them that's going to be there. And that's the one I know I have been told about, and I think I have been told that I can release that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like from the outreach that we're doing, it sounds like it's going to be a pretty stacked event.
Okay. Well, excited.
I just want to say Emma and Quincy are great resources to reach out to and talk to. So if we have any freshman or sophomore listening and who want to recruit buy-side or recruit SME, like feel free to reach out to either one of them.
And I think this also like echoes the point of like why you should join TAS, right?
Yeah.
If you're recruiting by yourself and you're trying to find someone that does sports, media, and entertainment, like you may not come across Quincy's like LinkedIn magically, right? But if you're part of TIS, it's like, oh, you should go talk to Quincy because you talk to someone else like, oh, that's the person you should talk to for this industry. So, you know, if you want to recruit credit, Regal, SME, like this is why you should join TIS.
And again, as we always say, all of our information and everything we talk about can be found on our website, trojaninvestingsociety.com.
Also, recruiting alone sounds like it would suck. Like, I genuinely just don't think I would have been able to get through it if I was just all by myself. And, like, I don't know if you guys can say the same,
Yeah,
but, like,
definitely.
you
it's
need other
impossible.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, like, even just mentally.
Yeah.
Like, not
Yeah.
even just, like, yeah,
Also
you
just-
need mock interviews and whatever, but mentally.
People going through the process like alongside you, where like you know you're both going through the same stuff, but then like you can kind of just like turn that off for a minute with each other and like be there, you know?
Yeah. And also, like, this is, like, just a good general advice, but, like, you should also have friends that are not doing recruiting and
Oh,
can,
yeah.
like, you, because sometimes talking about recruiting 24/7 can get to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Any last words, piece of advice, anything you want to share?
I guess piece of advice, especially for the sophomores that are heading into recruiting, and now that I think leaders acceptances are going to be released pretty soon.
We were pretty impressed, by the way, by the
Yeah.
interviews.
Great job to
Lots of
everyone.
great people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think biggest piece of advice is honestly just like go with the flow. Like you're going to take hits and you're going to like have rejections, and that's all part of the learning process. And I think the biggest thing, like when you're recruiting, you're interacting with some of your peers. Like I can say this for sure for me. I don't know if the other people here had this experience as well, but like you kind of are in the trenches, and there's this kind of group mentality that starts going where it's like, just take a deep breath. Like this interview is going to happen. This coffee chat's going to happen, and like just let it happen. Like it's like you have people saying like, I'm just going to accept whatever. Like there's some sort of plan for me. If I don't get this, like there's obviously something else better for me. So
It all works out in that.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, we
One
did.
night.
I remember
We
that.
did.
Yep.
Yeah, we
So,
sat
but
there.
Again, that is, I echo what Quincy said,
Yeah.
but that is to say, like, it'll all work out in the end. Like, ultimately, if you put in the work, you do everything that is in your control, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And, like, don't stress about it. Like, there are moments where you'll stress, but you'll look back. Like, now I look back and I'm like, I was being stupid.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I All right.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us, everyone. We are excited to see you again next Monday. And thank you to Emma and Quincy for being our esteemed first guests.
Yeah, come to the
Thank
Taco Tuesday social tomorrow, guys.
Taco Tuesday. All right.
All right. Bye everyone.
See ya.
Bye.